If any one of you think that tipping the waiters or tipping others for the service can help the workers get better pays and make customers happy, you are not only wrong but outdated in your thinking. Tipping is a very bad culture and it can lead to disaster that only simpleton or screw-up politician who think that this is a good idea to be in Singapore. So now let me tell you why tipping is a bad culture. When I was in the US, the minimum to tip a server is 10%. But as years pass, some customers start to give more tips. Hence, the servers are expecting more tips from the customers. 10% tips to give a server has become a minimum. If you give them 10% or less, they will not be happy with you and they may even scold you for being stingy. Damn it! Aren't I the customer? Why do I need to be under the mercy of someone servicing me? Do I owe them the living? 10% is not enough, and 15% to them is normal, but I still consider little. Now they are expecting at least 20% tip so that you could feel welcome by them. But if you give 25% and more, you'll see their face glow like, oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. God bless you. And you will see how the money shining on their faces. Based on my experience when I was having meals in cafe and restaurants in the US, I normally give the server 20% tips before I go off. The main reason I give 20% tips is not because they give me good service. The reason is because I want to go to the restaurant again. I don't care about the service, I care about the food more than the service, right? However, there was one day I don't have enough money, so I give 10% tips to the server, and you know what happened? Their faces turned black, stare at me. And from then onwards, I never wanted to go there again. The worst thing ever happened to me was the server could even demand more tips if I gave only 10%. So then I asked the Americans around, why should we give tips to the server? The answer that the Americans always gave me was the workers are earning a minimum wage. So I was thinking, what the fuck is the minimum wage? In Singapore, the waiters at a decent hotel could get around $2,000 per month, and the 5-star hotel, $3,000. So what minimum wage are we talking about? So it doesn't make sense if Singapore is gonna have a tipping culture. Also, having that kind of culture is pushing the responsibility to the customers instead of the boss to reward the workers' performance. Tipping will only let the boss to push away his responsibilities for the workers. The boss said to the workers like this, whatever you're earning depends on you. I give you this amount of pay and the rest of the money depends on how much you can butter the customers up. So it's like this, the more you butter the customers, the more tips you get. Even if the workers make a mistake in serving the customers, the boss will not accept the responsibility too. So does that also mean the service or the meals we are getting will be cheaper too? No one cares. If the boss wants to sell a plate of fish and chip for $100, it will be $100. It doesn't mean the meals we are getting will be cheaper even there's no service charge. It all depends on the one operating the business. And from the customer's point of view, giving tips is a pain. Everywhere I go in the US, I have to make sure that I have enough small notes in my wallet for tipping. If my wallet is full of $100, it will be a headache, nightmare. How am I going to give tips to those money-faced people? In a cafe, I need to tip. Then go to valet parking, I need to tip. Call for housekeeping, I need to tip. Haircut, I need to tip. Even in a buffet, I have to tip $1 for every plate of omelets the cook prepares for me. So every time I go out from my home, I will need to make sure there's $1 notes with me. A lot of $1 notes. It's so stupid. The minimum tip is $1 for anyone if there's no specific billing. So even if someone open a door for you, you have to give him $1. This is the tipping culture. This is why many Americans, unless they are rich, for many things, they will do it by themselves whenever possible. Self-haircut, fix their own car, and do their own gardening, and even build a house themselves. This is why many Americans are jobless. Therefore, I prefer to go to fast food restaurants in the US because I won't feel shy about not giving tips. This tipping culture is gonna happen in Singapore. Next time, even if we buy a cup of coffee at $1.50 at hawker center, aren't we going to give another $1 tip to the one who brings the coffee to our table? Then a cup of coffee will cost almost double the price. From workers' point of view, since I was a waiter in the US before, naturally, I would become very ambitious, hoping that the customers will give me more tips and ignore those customers who would tip me less. But the whole thing was not so lucky for me. Another one who was working with me together was a young, beautiful blonde, so she always get more tips than me. Was it fair for me? No matter how I could butter the customers, I still couldn't get as much as her. So what else could I do besides feeling demoralized and getting more nervous at my job? But if I work in a no tipping service, it will be better for me because the boss will be responsible. He will give me bonus fairly besides having a better paycheck. So whether tipping or no tipping culture, how good the workers' welfare will be, how much the cost for a plate of fish and chip will be, and how happy the customers will be, it all depends ultimately on how bad or how good the boss is in managing the whole operation. Also, it doesn't mean that the tipping culture in the US will work in other countries. In Japan, tipping is a pure insult to the workers. Tipping is only for nightclubs, KTVs, and places where men find women and women find men, or men to men or women to women. You got what I'm saying? Remember to hit subscribe, like, and share my video. Ciao!